guys, welcome back to another video from Everglides. So I thought I would jump on and very quickly try and put together a video that I literally have seen requested so much the last few weeks through like Facebook Messenger and comments and emails and things like that. So many people ask this question and it has been requested that it is a video. The downside is that there is no straight answer to this question, so I'm going to try and summarize and make a video answering it as best I can. But at the end of the day, guys, if you need more information, you know where we are. Basically, the question we are going to answer today is, what are the best skates for beginners on a budget? It's something that we come across daily, if I'm truly honest. A lot of people are into the sport, they're starting to get into it, they don't really want to spend out loads of money on the first pair of skates, and we understand that. We completely understand it. Like I say, there's not really a straight answer, there's not really a one size fits all answer to that question, but I am going to run through with you some skates now that are kind of our beginner skates I would recommend to you if you were coming to us and you were in this situation. Just on a side note, kind of little disclaimer thing going on. This video does not replace a skate technician. It does not replace a boot fitting. Really, guys, try your best to avoid buying online. You need to make sure that you're going to a shop, go and get fitted. Make sure that you are having a chat with the person who knows about these boots and who knows about the brands. Make sure that you are buying the right skate for you, because not getting the right skate for your level can not only hold you back, but it can completely put you off skating, and that's definitely not what you want to do. So often when people refer to themselves as beginners, they can either refer to themselves as a recreational beginner, or they refer to themselves as being a lesson beginner. So someone who is like a recreational beginner means that you are just skating for fun, you're just skating for recreation, maybe you're only skating because it's the festive Christmas period, and you're looking to get yourself some skates because you want something a bit more comfortable, you don't want to wait in line for skate hire, you want to just be able to go and skate. Maybe you're skating sort of once a week, so you're coming quite regularly but not really interested in lessons. You're just doing it for a little bit of fun and you just fancy your first pair of skates. About lesson beginners, what we mean by this is if you are looking to take lessons, you have maybe signed up or you've had some lessons before, but you are at the beginner stages of those levels. So typically in England, most ice rinks will start from beginners 1 to 8, the first 8 grades. If you are between 1 and 5, is definitely a beginner's section of grade. So if you're looking to take lessons and you are a beginner lesson skater and you're wanting to take lessons and you're wanting to progress, then there are a few different options that you may want to look at in terms of your first pair of skates. So jumping in then and having a look at recreational beginner skates on a budget, the first thing I want to do is kind of just identify what we mean by a recreational boot. So what makes these boots recreational? So I'm not going to literally list every single brand of skate and go through every single model and brand that we have, because we will be here all day. So I'm just going to kind of point out some key things and give you guys some names of some brands, specifically some different brands and boots to have a look at if you are thinking about going for your first pair of recreational skates. Key trademark things that makes a skate a recreational style skate is that, number one, the blade is riveted on. So you can see that the blade is not screwed on, it's actually placed onto the bottom of the boot with rivets. So it's a very cost-effective way of adding a blade to a boot, and therefore that's how companies are able to keep costs of these skates down, and therefore that's why they're great for people on a budget. Another key trait of having a recreational boot is that they have eyelets. You can see all the holes, the lace holes are reinforced with a little metal disc, a little metal eyelet. This is because, again, to keep costs nice and low and keep these skates at a reasonable price, the skates are actually synthetic. They're not made of leather. So the entire boot is a synthetic boot. Unfortunately, synthetic materials aren't strong enough to support a lace being pulled continuously through it. So they have to reinforce the synthetic material with a metal eyelet, and that just prevents you from damaging the boot first time you do it up. The next kind of trademark thing is that the boots are often very soft. So if I tilt that up and give it a little squeeze, you can see that the boot there's a lot of movement there in the boot. There's not a lot of ankle support within these boots. They are, like I say, they are very soft, they are very malleable. Squeeze. They have a kind of felt lining as well. So the lining is designed in some ways to keep your feet warm, which is actually a plus side if you are just a recreational skater. You want to try and stay as warm as possible. So yeah, they have got a little felt lining. You've got some very basic cushioning in there as well around the ankle bones, just to help kind of give your ankle bones a little bit more comfort. But overall, it is more of a shell. There's no real sculpting to the boot. There's no real shape to it. It is just a rounded kind of boot shaped shell. And quite often people that go for these skates will tend to wear thicker, maybe ski socks or fluffy socks or something like that, just to add a little bit more padding into the boot. The Galaxy sits around about the £45 mark. So it's a really great kind of value for money boot. It gets you started, it gets a boot, you've got a blade, and they are ready to go. So the reason why this skate is classified as recreational is not only those key traits that I just pointed out a moment ago, but also the boot isn't overly strong. It is literally designed for someone who is maybe skating, maybe like 3 to 4 months a year, maybe just around the Christmas period, maybe kind of every other week at a push. The thing is with these boots, they are great beginner boots on a budget, but you have to bear in mind that this boot really is not designed to be skated on once a week. So if you are a regular skater and you are coming once a week, you will find that the boot does begin to show signs of stress quite quickly, and within sort of 6 months to a year, you are going to be needing to have a new pair. So the SFR Galaxy and kind of the whole SFR range, you have the Snowflake, the Glitter, the Pink, and the Mint Galaxy Cosmo. You also have the SFR Serene. They all come with this kind of figure style blade, but it's not really a blade for figure skating. So it has an extremely small toe pick. You've only got a couple of spikes there, and they're actually set very far off the ground. So they're there to kind of train your body to know something's in front of your toe, but they're not functional. If you are doing lessons and you're going to be doing toe steps or any kind of jumps, these toe picks are useless. They don't allow you to jump properly or to have the proper posture to be taking off those jumps correctly. If you were learning to spin or even just be doing 3 turns, if you were taking lessons and you were learning those movements, this blade would allow you to have the wrong body language and unfortunately allow you to pick up some very bad habits where you would be turning too far on the toe, just a little bit too far forward. The blades are designed very much in mind for beginners. They're quite flat, which allows them to be a little bit more stable. So if, again, for a recreational style of skater, they are absolutely fantastic. The only thing I would say about the SFR Galaxy, they are a very soft recreational boot. So if you do have a problem with your ankles that you know of, so if you either pronate, supinate, or you have a hypermobility syndrome, then it's probably not a great idea to use a Galaxy because you're going to break the boot very quickly. If you are looking for a recreational style of skate to just kind of start out with, but you know that you do have problems with your ankles like we just said, and you're hopefully looking for something a little bit stronger than the SFR range, then we would highly recommend you having a little look at the Jackson Soft Skate. So the Jackson Soft Skate is a little bit more expensive than the SFRs. These particular boots sit around the sort of £80 to £90 mark, so they are double the price of the SFR, but you are getting a much stronger boot, and you can see there as I squeeze it, there's not a lot of movement. The boot's really solid. So if you do know that you have a slight problem in your ankle joint and that you know that you need that little bit more support, this boot is gonna do a really, really good job. So not only is the boot much stronger, you also have a kind of lovely sheepskin lining in there as well. So the boot is designed to keep you really warm. So if you are just recreationally skating, it's just a little bit of fun, for you, then keeping warm is obviously important. If you are skating on those outdoor ice rinks at Christmas, then what is better than having lovely, toasty, warm, cozy feet? So just like the SFR range, you obviously have a riveted on blade. You've got the classic eyelets in there as well, but like I say, it's much stiffer in the ankle, it's much more reinforced, and it's going to provide that skater with a lot more support. Again though, if you are looking to take lessons or anything like that, it's not really suitable for beginner lessons. Again, you have that kind of beginner, come off blade, come off. So again, you have that more kind of beginner style of blade. Although the toe pick is slightly larger on the Jackson boot, it's still not a functional toe pick. The reason they put it so far out of the way and the reason they put it in a slightly different place to a proper figure blade is to prevent a beginner from tripping over it continuously. If you do find you trip over a beginner blade continuously, it's very quickly trying to tell you that your posture is slightly wrong. That's another video, way over there. So the blade again is just a beginner blade. It hasn't got a particularly aggressive profile to it or anything like that. It is quite flat and particularly stable for beginners. So the Jackson Soft Skate, highly recommend if you are needing more ankle support than what is provided from the SFR range. So my last boot in the kind of recreational beginner skates on a budget kind of range of boots is the Rio Roller Ice collection. So Rio Roller have been making roller skates since 1990, and they brought out a collection of ice skates. Sadly now these are discontinued, but they are still available on the market. There still is stock out there, still available and still circulating. Although sizes are slightly limited, they are still there. The great thing about these skates, and this is probably going to be your favorite part too, they are £35. £35 sees you with a boot and blade. It has a beautiful chrome finish to it as well. These particular boots come in different colors. I'll link some pictures now so you can see. You have the mint with pink tongue and you have the Rio Moonlight. The Moonlight is definitely our favorite boot of all time. It's so pretty. It literally looks like it could have fallen out of Disney's Frozen. So the Rio Roller Ice collection then, again, it's riveted on. You have those classic eyelets. Strength-wise, it is not as strong as the Jackson Soft Skate, but it is definitely stronger and more padded than the SFR Galaxy. So again, if I squeeze that, you can see there is still a bit of movement, but they are stronger than the Galaxy. If you have children who are really into skating and they're coming regularly, you want to get them their first pair of skates, you really cannot go wrong with a Rio Roller. Like I say, £35, done. They have a lovely amount of padding inside as well. You can kind of see that there's a nice amount of padding in the ankle. The padding actually surprisingly goes quite far down into the toe box area as well. The padding is actually made from a kind of memory foam, so it does help to kind of keep that nice and comfortable. Same sort of situation with the blade. You have a slightly more functional toe pick, which is surprising for a recreational boot really, on there, but I wouldn't really suggest doing any toe steps or jumps on this boot because it's not strong enough to support you. But again, the blade has a nice basic kind of beginner profile. Now I'm going to address the whole situation for those of you who are beginners, but you are beginners who are taking lessons. So you are a beginner to skating because you are learning how to skate. You are taking those lessons and you have started your badges 1 to 8. At Everglides, when we say the term beginner, we are actually referring to people anywhere between badges 1 and 8. Now, appreciate that there is a big difference between someone who's on level 8 and someone who is on level 1. The reason why we classify this all as beginner is because most of the skates that we would use or recommend for this section would actually be good for level 1 or level 8. So it doesn't really matter where you are, if you are on level 6, 5, 4, 3, 1, 2, 8. This particular boot that I'm going to recommend to you now is good for all of those levels. This is the best boot for beginners on a budget who are taking lessons. This particular skate is the best value for money. So it is costing a little bit more than those recreational skates that you saw just a moment ago. In fact, it is almost double the price of an SFR. If you are an adult who is not growing anymore, you are never going to grow out of those boots. These boots are in fact an investment to you. The boot that we recommend for beginner level lesson quality skates is this one here. It is the Graph 500. So the Graph 500 sits around about the £95 mark. The difference between this boot and the boots that you saw before is this boot is leather. So that's really where that kind of doubling of money is coming from. The boot is now leather, it is not synthetic. It does not have any eyelets on those holes because the leather is strong enough to support the lace without any kind of reinforcement. You have a blade here that is screwed on, not riveted on. A better blade for skating, and you want to be able to have a blade that's detachable and removable because it means that you can upgrade your blades later if you needed to. It's also strong, it's reinforced, so although there is a little bit of play and a little bit of movement in there, it's nowhere near as soft as an SFR Galaxy. It has a lot of support. It's a solid boot. It has padding inside as well, so you can see it's got some nice padding and sculpting in there as well, and the padding does, like I say, continue a little bit far down into the kind of toe box, not all the way, but you've got that nice bit of support in there as well. So £95, leather boot, screwed on blade. Lovely thing about a screwed on blade is you can move the position depending on the skater's foot. Being able to move the blade is important because we can tailor it to help you and your skating style. The great thing about a leather boot is it is fully heat moldable. We pop them in our special boot oven, we then heat them up, pop them on the skater's foot, lace them up and let them cool down. And that literally transforms this boot into almost a fully custom boot for your foot. It is molded to your foot and provides a really maximum amount of comfort. About having a boot molded to you is not only do you get comfort, but you have the maximum amount of precision as well. So that's also really important. If you are taking lessons, you want a boot that is going to assist you and allow you to progress as opposed to kind of hold you back and hinder you. So the blade on here, the blade is much more superior to the blades you would have seen on the recreational boots. So you have now got a functional toe picks. The spikes, the little picks are all in a line, which means that when you place them into the ice, you are getting maximum surface area for a great amount of bite. So when you're doing toe steps or beginner little hops and jumps, that is the best toe pick to learn to start doing that on. You've also got a really lovely correspondence between the drag pick and this spin rocker, the secondary rocker right here. This profile that you see on this blade, this is a figure skating blade profile. So although it's a beginner boot, you've actually jumped straight into the proper profile. So your body is only ever going to adjust and all it's ever going to know is a proper profile. So moving and adjusting and going on to different blades later on is not going to be such a shock because you're already going to be used to this profile. It's going to make life so much easier for you. Because it has got a little spin rocker in there, drag pick spin rocker, secondary rocker situation going on, it means that you can do things like 3 turns. It means you can learn to do things like 2 foot and 1 foot spins. You don't have to upgrade your blades or completely change your boots because you are on that level where you're learning these things and you can't do them. You can literally do badges 1 to 8 on this boot, no problem. Wouldn't have to change it at all. Especially if you're an adult and you're not growing out of them, then you wouldn't have to change. They do go slightly further than badge 8, so into bronze, but bronze is where you start learning to do waltz jumps. Silver, you do a salchow, and gold, you do a toe loop. Thing on this particular boot does tend to stress it, and that's when the boot shows signs of wear, and it is when these boots begin to break down. It's around of about the level where you learn to jump. Always the jumps that kill boots, guys. It's always the jumps. Jumps kill boots. We should just have that as a name tag. The reason why we have the Graph 500 really as our beginner level boot is because in terms of value for money and what else is out on the market, it is the kind of lowest price point for the maximum amount of quality that you get. So in terms of a leather boot with a decent blade that's screwed on and good ankle support, everything else out there on the market around of about this same level, you are looking more of a kind of 110, 120, 130 pound price point. And some of those aren't even leather. A lot of those boots out there are still synthetic. So just bear in mind that synthetic boots don't hold up as well as leather boots. If you're doing lessons, you need really a leather skate. We obviously need to get them in the right size. We need to get everybody comfortable, and being comfortable will allow you to spend more time on the ice. And the more time you spend on the ice, the more progression you'll make. So that's mainly the key thing as a beginner, is you want to get the right size, because if you don't get the right size of boot, you're going to struggle to control it, struggle to progress. So you want the right size of boot. You want a nice, strong, supportive ankle, preferably leather, so that we can manipulate and mold the boot to your foot. A blade that you can adjust to make sure that it's accommodating for your skating style. Most of all, you want to be comfortable, because comfort means you're going to spend more time practicing. The more practice you do, the more progression you make. Okay, so guys, I'm going to wrap this video up because it is becoming really long because I talk forever. I'm gonna wrap this up. I hope you found that really interesting, and I hope that answered a couple of questions that you maybe have had looking into your first pair of ice skates. Like always, if you have any questions at all, you can find us at everglides.co.uk. That's got all of our contact information on it, equally on the socials, Instagram and Facebook. I really hope you enjoyed this video and feel really empowered, loads of knowledge about what the best skates are for beginners on a budget, the difference between recreational skates and beginner lesson skates. Huge difference there, guys, and it's very important that you know the difference and you really have a think about where you want to take your skating. If you want some information, or you have any questions, or you want a review about any specific products, just let us know. Pop your comments down below. We'll pick those up and I can 100% do that for you. For now though, I hope you have a great rest of the day, and as I'm sure we will speak soon in another video.